You know, we've just been served some great and memorable information from a courageous California businessman who's using his freedom and his property to make a point about both. As a commentary on the authoritarian Governor Gavin Newsom's immoral lockdowns and mask mandates, and as a jab at the unconstitutional federal funding of experimental mRNA jabs, this man is asking the COVID Karen types out there to pay a surcharge if they want to wear masks or brag about taking one of those jabs while they're in his restaurant. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV. You know, leave it to a stale, superficial news network to take a great story of market freedom, mix in subtle digs about that freedom, add less subtle affirmations of what actually is the debated efficacy of so-called masks, and promote that propaganda to the public at large. Well, that's what NBC's Wilson Wong and Bianca Britton have done to Chris Castleman, owner of a Mendocino, California cafe called Fiddleheads. Now, true to his name, Castleman has exercised control of his own property and has established a rule whereby willing customers will be charged if they behave in ways he finds unacceptable. This inspired the NBC duo to do the propaganda two-step, writing, quote, "Diners are mostly free to speak their mind at a Northern California cafe, but doing so through the protective confines of a mask will cost a cover charge of $5. So, right from the outset, we see shading placed on freedom of choice and an affirmative assumption about the protective confines of a mask. First, anyone is free to speak his or her mind and to choose to enter or not enter the cafe. The choice to enter the cafe and wear a mask is also a free choice. If one does so, one freely accepts the request of the owner of the property and promises to pay for the privilege of donning the mask. If the owner is to be forced to welcome anyone for any reason, he does not have control over his property, and the principle of ownership is thus destroyed, which puts his life at risk since one must be able to assert property ownership in order to retain the needs to sustain one's life. If we were to flip the situation here, would people find it ethically acceptable to force people walking on a sidewalk to frequent bars or stores they didn't want to frequent? Wong and Britton also note, quote, "The restaurant also planned to charge an additional $5 fee to those, quote, caught bragging, end quote, about being vaccinated, according to a couple of the posted signs." He's making a point, a valid point, which NBC has not made for a long time in all of their editorial peppering of their news propaganda, so-called, which is his prerogative. And for those of us who have some major problems with people's tax money being taken to pay for any jabs, let alone experimental mRNA jabs that are not fully tested, many of which, by the way, involve the use of aborted fetuses in their development, well, it's a pleasure to see this happening. And Castleman will give the cash to charity. Quote, "I don't think $5 to charity is too much to ask from mask-wearing customers who claim to care so much about the community they live in," he said by email. Write Wong and Britton, quote, "Proceeds will go to Project Sanctuary, a local domestic abuse organization, for 2 weeks before a new nonprofit enters the rotation," Castleman said. Project Sanctuary did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Quote, "It's about time that the proponents of these ineffective government measures start paying for the collateral damage they have collectively caused," the owner said. Last year, Castleman was threatened by the California government because of fascist licensing statutes. The government threatened to close his shop and fine him unless he shut his doors himself. The results of the California policy, of course, not only on him, but on all sorts of other businesses, have been obvious. As I reported last week for MRC TV, nearly 1/3 of all restaurants in the state of California have permanently closed due to the lockdowns, fines, and threats from the state. Castleman isn't letting that aggression go unrecognized or forgotten. Quote, "I don't force anyone to pay. I give them freedom of choice, which seems to be a foreign concept in these parts of the country." And he added, "The government shut everything down," he said Friday. "Everyone wearing a mask is complicit." True. And Castleman stressed the free will seen in the free market. Quote, "It's their choice," he continued. "They can choose what business they support. They can go to any other business in my county, state," end quote. It's a shame the politicians, bureaucrats, police, and many in the dinosaur media don't understand that concept of free choice that Mr. Castleman clearly understands and articulates very, very well. Thank you, everyone, for watching and sticking with MRC TV. If you're watching on YouTube, please remember to make sure that you're subscribed. Share these videos far and wide if you can. On Facebook, the algorithms are a little tricky, so you might want to tag some friends, send it out to friends, use email to send it to friends. Get this link out on Twitter, out on Gab, and any other social media platform you might choose. We are on Twitter, on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, and of course, you can always find the whole team at MRCTV.org. That's MRCTV.org, and all the videos are housed. Imagine my fist is Rumble. They're housed at Rumble. It's a great new site. Really, really terrific. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.